Hello and welcome to Two Therapists and a Microphone. I am Dr. Harrison Davis.
And I'm Dr. Aisha Dickerson.
Two Therapists and a Microphone is a show about mental health, relationships, and social issues that personally affect you. We broadcast live every Monday evening at 7 o'clock p.m. on the Our Black Media Network.
We're two licensed psychotherapists with decades of experience, and we want to hear from you. We want to hear about the situations or dilemmas that you're going through, so please send us your questions by visiting our webpage, www.twotherapist.com, and click on Ask Two Therapists at the top of the page.
Absolutely. And today we have a letter from one of our listeners that I want to get to in just a minute. But first, I just want to say happy Black History Month to
Yes.
everybody. This is February 2023. We're celebrating Black History Month in various ways. And I just want
hmm
to wish everyone a good Black History Month. And make sure you like our page on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter, so you can get some notifications when we're going to air our shows. And we also, like Aisha said, want you guys to ask them some questions
hmm
on the website. Click on Ask Two Therapists. So we got a very good question today from a
yeah.
listener about keep your peace and what that means. And you and I have said it a lot.
hmm
But before we even
Especially
get
recently. Yeah.
more recently, absolutely, because it's easy to lose your peace, you
Yeah.
know. But let me ask you first, before we read the question, how do you know what is peace? And how do you know when you have it? That's what I want to know. And audience, you guys can jump in too.
So, to me, peace is I'm trying to see how to best say this, Harrison. Maybe I don't know what peace is.
Well,
Um,
you know what? That's typical. That is typical for people not knowing how to define peace. We know it when we feel it,
right.
but
It's
it's hard.
almost an unbother, but not exactly. More of a
I like that. I
not
like that.
caring enough to do something crazy.
Yeah. Sort of a relaxed state of mind, state of emotions, unbothered. I think about it when I go on vacations. I go to the beach. That's why I have the beach pitch in the back of Aruba. And sitting out on that beach is wonderful.
yeah.
Listening to the waves, and I'm at peace. I also had that same feeling one time when I ate an edible.
yeah, it'll get you real peaceful.
But sometimes it is difficult to hold on to peace. We,
hmm
we 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 define it various ways. I just like to be in a relaxed state.
hmm
Peace of mind. I'm not worried about anything. Nothing's heavy on my mind. I'm not rushing to do things. I don't have a long checklist of things to do. I that's peace to me. My favorite sports teams winning. That's also very peaceful.
So you haven't had that peace in a minute, huh?
You damn right. So we define peace a little bit differently, but the question is, how do you hold on to it? How do you keep your peace? And also, how do we know when we have lost our peace? That
Or when you need to embrace something other than peace.
okay.
That's how I think about it. Being at peace isn't necessarily always where you need to be. I think
Yep.
sometimes you need to get amped up. You need to, a little anxiety can be healthy if it's pushing you
Motivational.
in a direction.
Absolutely. So how do you know when you've lost your peace, Aisha?
By the time I know things have gotten way out of control. So probably everybody else knows that I've lost my peace at the same time. I know
So
there's a reaction.
would it be fair to say you get grumpy?
Oh, grumpy is a gross understatement.
I was being nice. I was being
yeah,
nice.
you've
I was
been
being
way
polite.
too nice. what about you, Harrison? When do you know that you've lost your peace?
Sometimes it is not easy recognizing it. It's like you're already there.
hmm
Like you fail to notice the warning signs to get there. And like you said, you're just there. So with me, I sort of get restless.
hmm
Sometimes, like I mentioned earlier, the things heavy on my head. Like I got a lot of things to do. I'm a fixer. And so I like to go and try to resolve things. And when I notice my efforts are not working, that's when I get frustrated. That's when I sort of lose my peace, or something bad happens to me. I'm sort of manipulated. Somebody tricks me to do something, even if it's out of $1, I get mad as hell. And I want it back.
Yeah.
So that's how I know. I get a little bit more assertive, sort of on the edge of aggressive.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, that's what I'm on the edge of aggressive when my piece is all the way gone, and I disengage in not a nice way. It's the way I'll say it. I'll say
I
what I have to say, and then I'll hang up and I'll walk away. In meetings and
I bet you do.
and oh, I think I did it today. I said what I needed to say, and I was like, "All right, y'all, I'm going click."
So with that, I think what we do sometimes, we try to protect that peace, and
Mhm,
we become angry, we become resentful because somebody has stolen it.
mhm.
Somebody has taken our peace and left us hanging there dealing with a mess that sometimes we don't have to own sometimes.
Yeah,
That's what's stressful, when somebody else dumps their issues on us or invite us into their toxic world and we walk through the door. That sort of disrupts our peace, and it causes a number of problems:
yeah.
panic, anxiety, panic attacks, depression, losing weight, alcohol addiction. Is also related to what the severity of the addiction is related to stress and anxiety and things like that. What else can it lead to,
I
Aisha?
just a lot of things where people are chasing peace. So sex addiction,
Ah,
that might relax. A lot of sex might relax somebody. So they're just chasing the peace. Drinking
yeah,
every day
gambling.
at the end of the day to relax. Taking an edible because that'll bring immediate peace, or something stronger, a little heroin.
Some
That'll
people
bring some
do
peace
that.
too.
So Dr. Aisha and I, we encourage everybody, get your peace. Hold on to that peace, because it's easy for somebody to come by and take it away, or it can slip away. So we got a question this week from
We
a
do.
listener on that very topic. So Aisha,
Yes.
can you read that to the audience? Because I might slip up on it.
Okay, so we have Ebony, a woman who is 44 years old in Beaufort. And she says, can you address the phrase protecting my peace? It's very popular now, but it seems to me that people just say that to keep from working through issues or to not take responsibility for what they do. Example, I cuss somebody out. The next day they want to talk about it, and I say, no, I'm over it. I'm at peace with cussing you out, and I want to protect my peace. Or you're in a relationship but not married yet. You and your partner are having a disagreement, and rather than communicate, you tell her that you just want peace in your home so she can't come over and talk. I know peace is important, but at what point is protecting your peace a cop out?
Wow, that's a great question.
Yeah.
So, what did you think about that question and
um
the topics that came up in it? The
I
general initial impression.
my initial impression was yes, protecting your peace is something that's commonly said now, like a lot of other things that are related to mental health, is being overused. Like when
Mhm.
people say that they're triggered, oh, that's triggering, and I'm triggered, and you triggered me, and
Hot,
gaslighting.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's
You
hot
disagree
terms.
with me, right? You disagree with me, and because of the way you said it, you're gaslighting me. You're not. You're dismissing my feelings, and oh, my trauma, my trauma. Everybody's got trauma, and we're trauma. It's a trauma bond, and my parents have caused trauma because they told me no, or they gave me a whoop. So everybody's got trauma. They are triggered. They're protecting their peace, and I can't remember what's the other one I said. I don't know, but a lot of these mental health
Trauma.
related
Mhm,
terms
mhm.
are hot right
Yep,
now.
yep. Excuse me. I've noticed that too, especially with that first one that you mentioned, trigger,
Hmm.
and that has been integrated into excuse me, into conversations. And I hear people talking about, like, wow, what you know about being triggered, and
Right. Do
so
you really know what a trigger is? Because
and gaslighting, just like you said, just because somebody disagrees with you, that doesn't mean they're gaslighting you, but these are popular and narcissistic.
oh
We had a
yes,
show.
I just saw something about that on Instagram where they were saying that the term narcissistic narcissistic or someone being narcissistic is being overused. Like, not everybody is narcissistic. Just
That's
because
right.
they have high self-esteem or they don't like you or they won't let you drag them down, it does not mean that they are narcissists.
Absolutely. And yes, there are selfish people out there.
Hmm.
However, that doesn't mean that they're narcissistic. So keeping or protecting your peace is
Hmm.
another term that is hot right now. I like to use it. But when I read this letter from the audience member, I don't know if what she is describing is protecting your peace.
Right. But
You
it
know,
definitely sounds like a lot of things that I've heard people say or have heard about people doing when they're using the term protecting their peace, protecting my space and
yep.
my peace. Especially that last example about, you and your partner aren't getting along and you live in two separate places. And rather than them work on it or discuss something, it's time for you to go. Leave my
Yeah,
space. My
I
space is a
wouldn't
place of peace.
define that as that person trying to protect their peace. They're giving up,
Hmm.
is what it sounds like, and they don't
Or
want
pulling a
to.
power move.
Yes, yes, they're playing a game on you. You know, they're
Mhm.
dishing out a strategy and trying to see how you're going to respond to it. But I wouldn't necessarily put that in the category of protecting your peace because they don't want to talk about it. You know, I like the whole idea of seeking peace,
Mhm.
and going around cussing somebody out, and you may be justified to cuss them out. However, the question is, how important is that relationship to you? And do you want to preserve that relationship?
Well, I think even if I don't want to preserve the relationship, if I cuss somebody out, I have no problem with explaining to them how I got to that point, what they can do to not get cussed out again. That would be
That's seeking
gas.
resolution.
That would be gaslighting though, telling somebody
Yeah,
what
they,
they
they, they would
cannot
accuse
do.
you of being
Right. And I'm telling
gaslighting.
you,
Yeah.
don't do A, B, C, and I won't cuss you out.
But I hear you trying to resolve
Yeah.
the situation by letting them know how they contributed to it,
Hmm.
and you just want to make sure that doesn't happen again. At
Right.
least you're providing them with some type of explanation. What I'm hearing in the letter is the person just walking away saying, "Forget you. I have my peace." You
Or I
know.
felt better now that I cussed you out.
Yes.
Cussing you out is what I needed to feel good. And so I'm at peace with my decision to forget how you feel about it.
So I found something on the internet that I thought was very timely. It came
All
popped up
right.
on my Facebook. What you call that thing?
Feed.
Thank you so much.
Okay,
Let me just click. I hope it shows.
I see it. Mistreating people, then avoiding communication is not protecting your peace, is avoiding accountability. Look at that. That
Look at that. So going back to the question in the example, cussing somebody out, you may be justified, but I like what you said earlier, Aisha. You know, reaching some type of resolution, giving them some closure to it, or some reason why you reacted the same way, how they contributed to it. That's a great way to start. But simply cussing somebody out and walking away, if you work with them, you have a relationship with them, I would encourage you to seek some peace within the relationship. You
mm.
know, if it's a stranger out on the street who has insulted you or something, or they curse you, I gave you the finger on the road or something, you want to cuss them out, you go right ahead, because I don't know what type of resolution you're going to get with that.
Or
However,
if you want to stay alive, sometimes just keep riding
you might want to do that. Make sure you
these
got
days.
something in the car. But here it
Right.
is. I think it was a coworker that they were talking about, cuss somebody out. I'm assuming that it's like a coworker or something, or so like a friend or something like that. And the next day they want to talk about it and say, "No, I'm over it," because they're trying to keep their peace. I don't think that's exactly what you're doing. You're trying to unload on somebody, and they may have been an unfair target. Even if it was justifiable, there's still some more things that perhaps we need to do to ensure peace in the future. Because
Hmm.
all you've done is start a beef, with somebody. What are your thoughts about that, Aisha?
So I like exactly what that meme said about about someone avoiding accountability, because immediately I think of a story I recently heard a couple of weeks ago from a young lady who was previously in a relationship with a guy. It excuse me, it didn't end well. not like they cussed each other out, but he didn't agree with something she did, so he ghosted her. He just talked a bunch of junk about her, and then they kind of went back and forth and some messages, and then it was over. They haven't talked for a long time, okay?
Okay.
But he realized the error of his ways, maybe because he eventually reached out to her a couple of weeks ago to say, I miss you, I love you, come back into my life. I hate the way things ended. And so she was willing to have a meeting with him. But at the beginning of the meeting, she, of course, wanted to talk about what happened that sent us down the
Mhm.
wrong road again. And his response was, no, you're bringing up the past. If we're going to move forward, we just have to move forward. And I just
Oh,
want to
without
wipe the slate.
discussing the
Right.
past.
Let's just wipe the slate clean and
Pretend like it
move
never
forward like
happened.
nothing. Right. That's exactly what he said. Wipe the slate clean and move forward like nothing happened. So she initially tried to do that. Of course, it didn't work out because, that's ridiculous. When she tried to bring it up again, that was another point of contention for him. Oh, you know what? That's what's always wrong with you. You always bringing up old stuff. You don't know how to let
Mm.
go. So, you could go ahead and leave because I just want to be at peace.
No accountability.
Don't write.
Because I don't know how to resolve conflict
Let's just not
without
talk about it.
addressing the issues.
Ever.
I haven't learned that magic trick, but apparently there are some people out there who attempt to do that, and that's exactly sounds like that particular example,
Mhm.
which is just like the one you just gave here. If you really want to resolve it, let's talk it out. Explain yourself, offer an apology, perhaps, but walking away and the person in the bottom of the example who doesn't want to talk about it, they're just not holding themselves accountable
Yeah.
to resolve. And I say they've given up, or they want to see if you're going to fall in line so that they can continue doing what they're doing and you don't give them any grief.
Right. Okay. Because at a minimum, I need to know if this happens again, will you react in the same way?
Yep.
Or can we talk about how I would prefer you react? I give my information, you give yours, and we decide if we can agree or if we need to just stop talking to each other rather
Yeah.
than us have the same blow up again. That would be protecting peace. Protecting peace is determining whether or not we're able to be peaceful with each other
Absolutely.
or if our peace is better apart. But that
Yeah.
there's a conversation that has to be had in order to figure that out.
And you can do that with a romantic partner, someone that you're dating. And to the first part of the example, how are you at peace when you're at work and you cuss somebody out? You've lost your peace. You've either allowed them to pull you into this little toxic area where you unloaded on them with a bunch of profanity. That is no peace at all. And let's talk about the consequences of that.
Right. You
As a
protected your
mature,
peace. Are you protecting your job? Because it doesn't sound like you did that
what
either.
is it? Because now you've possibly created a reputation for
Mhm.
yourself, labeled yourself as a hostile individual, and possibly isolated yourself, all because you wanted to cuss somebody out. I believe there are some better ways to resolve conflict. Otherwise, everybody's going to be like Will Smith, just
What is Will Smith up to these days?
I have no idea because I don't give a damn anymore. But Will Smith went up there, slapped a black man, walked away like nothing happened, won his award, and went out to a party later that night and laughed. That's a clear example of what we're talking about. You destroying someone else, you destroying another relationship, possibly your reputation. And I believe he did that. And they're gonna walk away and say, I'm at peace.
Right.
That's what that looks like. That's what these examples are.
I'm happy. I did something that was not cool, but I'm happy now. So whatever. I don't want to talk about
Yeah.
it
I
anymore.
slapped the shit out of you in front of the world, and I'm okay with it, because I say you made a bad joke, And then the example that you talked about from the letter, the coworker may have said something or done something to piss you off, and then you're gonna cuss them out in front of everybody, and then walk away. I'm done with it. That's not how we handle things in the mature world, and I'm sure there are gonna be some consequences to it. I
Mhm.
like the idea of holding yourself accountable, attempting to explain yourself. You don't have to continue in the relationship with that person. Sometimes you can walk away, like with a dating relationship. However, let's try to secure your future, because how are you going to work now with that same employee and you cussed them out 2 months ago. And
Right.
you guys got to work together, or classmates. That's where I saw it when I was a professor. Some classmate, they got into a Twitter beef or a chat room beef, group chat and something, and they cursed somebody out. You still got to go to class,
Right.
and then you got to work with that person.
So you said something earlier about if it were a stranger on the street, you cuss them out is okay. And that's where I think if you want to protect your peace, blocking people, because my block game is real strong, that you don't
I bet
have,
it is.
it's amazing. But blocking people that you either aren't that attached to or have decided you are done with, that's protecting your peace. Now, if it's somebody like a sibling, a cousin, somebody that you know that eventually you will probably want to work that relationship out, you probably shouldn't block them.
Yeah.
You might want to put them on high alerts, but when you block somebody, I mean, that's a strong move.
Yes, and when you block somebody, that means you really don't give a damn
Right.
about them. You can do whatever you want to do. I'm not included. Don't update me. I'm not going to ask about you. I would have preferred this person had done that with the coworker who they cussed out.
Mhm.
Why don't you just cancel them in your mind? As opposed to taking a much more extreme reaction where there could be consequences to you. And if that dude is telling you, I don't want to talk about it, or a woman, whoever it could be, tell you they don't want to talk about it, they don't want to work it out, that's your cue to look for
Right.
the exit.
Okay, because I mean, it bothers me when people feel like they want to go off and say what they want to say, whether or not it includes cuss words. I say what I want to say, and then when you want to respond, then they want to block you. You text a long dissertation, when they pick up the phone to call you, you don't answer, and then you block them. Like, don't be a punk. Keyboard gangster. Now these
Yeah,
keyboard
own it.
gangsters out here.
Own it.
If you
Have
want
a
to start a
conversation.
conversation, right? If you're going to start a conversation, have a conversation.
As adults, I encourage you to attempt to have a conversation, even if you pointed out this unfair treatment from this person that you're dating, even if you were mistreated by a coworker, or they tried to sabotage you. I would encourage you to have a conversation with them and perhaps your boss, as opposed to cussing them out. That's you losing. You've already lost your peace when you are in your workplace or in the parking lot. That's what I heard about it. Parking lot or a group chat, and you cussing somebody out. That's what I would prefer you to protect. That's you falling apart, going down to a level that you tried to work on for years. You're an adult now. Try to set a better example for yourself so that you can secure the peace for the future.
Mhm.
So I do have an example, a quick example
Okay.
about someone did the same thing with a client of mine years ago. It's a male, black male. I think it was in his mid-30s. He came in because he heard some shocking news from his mom. His mom had given birth to him when she was 14 years old, teen pregnancy. And so she was much older than he. And one day she called him up. She goes to church now. She's involved in the church and everything like that. She apologized to him. And he was like, "For what? For what I did to you when you were younger." He said, "What did you do to me?" He said he had a tough upbringing, sexually housing, moved a lot. She had boyfriends who beat her up. And then she said, "I touched you. And I'm sorry. God told me to apologize to you. I didn't know what I was doing because it had happened to me." My client had no memory of anything. And when he started asking her questions on the phone, like anybody else would, she refused to answer. She said, "I did what God told me to do, and I'm going to keep my peace," and refuse to talk about it. My client was a mess by that information. No closure, no understanding, and it left him in worse shape
Mhm.
than if she had just kept it to herself. I had to help him work through that. He didn't get any more closure from the mom. I thought that was selfish. It didn't help him. It was all about her,
Yeah.
releasing some information that she obviously felt guilty about, but
Mhm.
no information, no details, no more than an apology and then a refusal to talk about it. That's unfair. That's not keeping your peace. And I remember that client, he had a tough time with that. And asking his siblings who were all younger than him, do they remember anything? Did anything happen to them? And they said no. And they couldn't believe what the mom said. They tried to call the mom and ask her. She refused to talk about it. Imagine that client. No peace. He didn't have any peace.
Well, so then my next question is, at what point is some people protecting their peace? I mean, it's dangerous when that means I am unloading and giving you a sense of not being at peace. In order for me to be at peace, you have to not
To deliver
be at
stress
peace.
to you and
Yeah.
walk away.
Like a cheating husband.
That's
You
like an
you get a
emotional terrorist.
you're doing so much at home, and I just wanted peace. So I went to this other woman's house and started hanging out with her because that's where
An
my peace
excuse.
was. Right. That's where my peace is over here. And so now I'm gonna leave you, with negative feelings. Now you're not at peace. And then, said wife, okay, well, when I take all your money and keep you from seeing your kids and move across the nation,
To keep
now
my
you don't,
peace. To keep
because I
yeah.
need to keep my peace.
Where does
Just
it end? If you don't address the issue, you don't provide some closure, walking away isn't always best. And
mm-mm.
and like I said before, you're doing a little bit more damage sometimes, depending on the situation. But like Aisha said earlier, if it's a relative, depends on the relationship. Let's work it out. Let's find another way to deal with conflict besides cussing somebody out. I rather you cancel them,
Yeah.
as opposed to doing something that's going to hurt your reputation. And when it's time to go from a relationship because they're not addressing issues or they're not holding themselves accountable, that's a clear time for you to go. That's not called keeping your peace. That's called manipulation,
Mhm, mhm.
right there. So those are my thoughts on a topic. Any final words from you, Dr. Aisha?
Yeah, for me, here's a good example of keeping your peace that I'm thinking about. I once had someone, a friend, tell me a bunch of things she had apparently been upset about for years. Like no one had any issue. You just been holding on to some and to me ridiculous stuff. And as a good friend, I was willing to engage in the conversation. That's not how I saw it. Here is what I think. I hope this helps you. Are we going to be able to move forward?
Okay.
The next day, a week later, she still had issues and she wanted to go on and on. And at that point, I'm like, well, I've had the conversation.
You did.
Now I am going to protect my peace.
Yeah.
You need to let me know if you're able to move forward now that you've said what you want to say. And I've talked to you, and these things have happened years ago, whatever it is you're upset about. At this point, you need to talk to a therapist. You can't talk to me about it anymore.
But you
You're not
attempted to address it.
Right.
You confronted the issue. You were willing to listen.
What people don't understand sometimes is just because you don't agree with them, just because you don't agree with them does not mean that you're against them.
All right.
And
All right.
sometimes protecting your peace is just not going back and forth with you. It doesn't mean that I didn't give it a chance and that we didn't have a conversation. It means that I refuse to go back and forth once you've said your piece and I've said my piece.
Yeah, that's failure to reach a mutual resolution,
Right.
Between one or more groups, but attempting to resolve it. I think it was great that you agreed to listen to her and provide some explanations and some suggestions to
Mhm.
that, because some people don't do that at all.
Yeah. Now we're still
So
friends, just with better boundaries. So
okay,
boundaries is the key to protecting your
ain't
peace. It
nothing
doesn't mean you
wrong
have to
with.
cut people off, but have some boundaries.
Then Dr. Aisha can show you how to do it too.
Oh, yes, I can. I'm a boundaries expert.
So guys, I hope you've enjoyed today's show. We talked about keeping your peace, keep your peace and try not to be an emotional terrorist,
Yeah,
with
that was a
somebody
good
else.
word.
Yeah, and then dropping a bomb on somebody else and walking away after you have mistreated them. Let's think about a much more mature way to resolve. That's a good term. Resolve some of these situations. So I hope you guys enjoyed the show. You've been listening to Therapists on a Microphone. I am Dr. Harrison Davis.
And I'm Dr. Aisha Dickerson.
And we will see you guys next week, Monday at 7:00 p.m. on the Our Black Media Network. See you then.
this.